What up, world? It's your man Shadow. We here with another fantastic episode of On the Real Videos. Tonight, we got a star extraordinaire for you. I'm not going to let you know right now who he is, but when we bring him out, you will recognize him. But right now, we're going to get into one of these great videos that we always show for you. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Man, that was a hot video. But today, like I told you, we got one of Sacramento's greatest, soon to be the world's greatest. I got Charlie Muscle in the building.
How you doing, brother?
What's up, brother? Thank you for coming. Appreciate
you.
Let's go ahead and get into it, man, because the first time I heard you rap, first of all, I didn't even know who you were. I mean, I knew who you were, but I didn't know who you were. We were doing the Spotlight open mic night down there at the Blue Lamp. Shout out to Gabby.
That's right.
Real shout out to Gabby. She really holds us down in the hip hop community.
That is very true.
And you asked me if you can get on the stage for a while.
Yeah.
And me not knowing, I was tired, irritable, wasn't in the greatest mood. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Turn around, like, this man, I can't believe this man want to get on the mic.
Right.
I had my back to the stage. You grabbed the microphone, Ketty, DJ Ketty.
Yeah.
Turn on your music, and you ripped. Made me turn around like, what the hell is this? Like, you really have been, like, in the tuck. What?
Yeah.
Why aren't you, like, capitalizing on your greatness?
Well, it all kind of goes with the motherly instinct. My mom always was one that influenced me with teaching and growing up. Of course, I had both my parents there throughout the household, so it wasn't broken, it wasn't scarred, but my mom put a lot of emphasis and focus in raising strong individuals, strong young men, and so she made sure she instilled in me that everything takes its own time. And if it's not in your time, don't worry about it, because as long as you're here, you have the time. So I only took that same motivation when she went back to school after my dad passed away. And she's actually about to graduate college. So
wow.
It was a big influence for me to see her do the same things. Never too late for her to get her education, never too late to change her life. Always a staple to stand on was it's never too late. So with me, it kind of goes with the same thing. I can do some great things here and there. I can make sure that everything stays consistent, but it all is going to fall in its own time. I just got to stay consistent with what I have to do.
Well, first of all, shout out to Mom on the graduation.
Right.
Like, it's never too late, and she's proven it, and she's also proven it with you, because she's instilled in you the work ethic that you've been putting out.
Right on.
Now, with that, let's go back a little bit in time.
Okay.
This cipher you were part of.
Okay.
That, for no reason, nobody wanted to be involved with, and all of a sudden Charlie Muscle got on and ripped and killed everybody on the cipher, and now everybody wanted to be. How did that happen?
It was kind of strange. I had tried out for Team Backpack a couple years in advance.
Okay.
Prior to that, actually, it was 3 different auditions that were taped, ready to go kind of thing, and I had failed all 3. And I really was just left with why. I wasn't sure exactly why. The criticisms were all the same. You're not holding the mic right. The music and the verse that you're choosing, they don't link well. Or the very first one that I did, I rapped for 3.5 minutes. It's like the normal thing that everybody hears on all my tracks. It's a no-hook thing. So I rapped on stage live for 3.5 minutes, and it still came down to where, yeah, you didn't win. But that 4th time, it was kind of just you either gonna make it or you not. We showed up a little bit late to the Cypher Hall. I actually was one of the last contestants on stage. Apparently, they said they called my name twice during that session, and they told them the 3rd time they called me, if I don't come up to the stage, I'm out. And as soon as they called my name, I had walked through the door. So it was almost, again, same thing with timing is everything. So I walk into the building, I do the cipher, I had high energy, high enthusiasm, fresh out the car, really didn't let them jitters get off of me before I got on stage, went up and killed everything. About a year later, they opened up the cipher world itself to the road to A3C ciphers that they were doing, connected with A3C out there.
Right.
And so I reached out and asked, hey, is it okay if I get a part of that? I want to do a verse or some kind of impetus to where I'm there. And they made a very good point to me that I wasn't available to be there. This was more for the established artists. These were for those who had a little more weight and promotion and carrying and whatnot as far as their brand through one portion of the entity and through the platform. And another portion came back to me and heard that I was trying to get interested and immediately just sent me a beat, no questions asked. So I go in, I do that cipher. I had no clue that this cipher was a contest at the same time. It turns out that was the cipher that took me out to Atlanta for A3C to do the viral cipher that everybody's familiar with. But we get out there, and it just seemed like like you said, it's not a lot of people who are familiar with the platform or what the platform has to offer, anything in the cipher background, whether it's freestyles and off the domes or if it's something that you've written and prepared and just coming off the heart. People aren't familiar with that circuit at that point in time, so they had no interest. And it took for myself, shouts out to my boy Logic One, because he does just as great as, if not better than I do on those ciphers and outside as well. But his motivational platform is something that kind of pushed me. I had messed up on my verse a few times the night before, and he was just enthusiastic about letting me know, it's okay, you got it. It's okay, you got it. So the next day, when it was time to record that cipher and he stepped up to the microphone, I could hear him spitting his verse. The energy that he put into that was something that I could easily reflect when it came to mind. Okay. And it made it what it is today. You know, now everybody's got a cipher platform. Everybody in Sacramento's got some kind of cipher gathering or some kind of 16-man circuit cipher or something of the nature where those same platforms that gave me the beginning and the start that I had are now something that can be opened up and bracketed for everyone else. I just wish that it was something that I could have did sooner.
Right. Well, shout out to Logic, but you know, for pushing you the way he did and giving that energy, the way it made you feel like you needed to get up there and do what you got to do. Right. But let's go ahead and get into this next video real quick, and we'll be back with more Charlie Muscle. Welcome back. We're here with the great Charlie Muscle on the Real Videos again. First of all, it's an honor to have you here, but it's more than just an honor, because I don't want to say I was at the beginning, but I was at the beginning when I started establishing what I was trying to do for Sacramento. So I'm happy as hell you're here, because I've heard you burn the mic. I've heard the ciphers. I've heard your music. I'm waiting on this new video.
Yes, sir.
And this new music that we're going to premiere here first.
Yes, sir.
Plus, we're going to play it on Hype Radio. We're going to premiere the new music there first. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. But, you know, with today's music the way it is now, what influenced you to get into the rap game?
Man, it was several different things. The first would be my mental state. Being an ADHD depressant 24/7. I've grown up in Sacramento my entire life, lived in Oak Park majority of my life. The other majority I lived in Meadowview, so I kind of got the light of both sides. We moved out of state when I was young, just a year or so, came back when I was about 17. Decided it was one of those things that I have to make my own staple and my own story understood, because I was a very misunderstood and uncommunicative child. Okay. It started off as a general diary, just something to write my feelings down with, and then kind of got the interest in poetry, so I mixed the two, my feelings with poetry. People tell me, of course, that goes hand in hand. That's almost what poetry is. It's just an exemplification of your feelings.
So this was more like therapy for you.
Indeed. Indeed, it was therapy for me. I really wasn't a social kid, so it left me with little to no friends. And with that being the case, it put a lot of emphasis in time. That time left me open to be able to think, to process, and usually those thoughts aren't always positive. So that was an outlet for me to be able to construct those negative or positive thoughts into some sort of, like I said, a piece of poetry. Something to just flow off the spirit, kind of exert myself so I no longer have to feel it, but I can now kind of manifest and see those feelings in front of me. Years later, it developed. My cousins were rapping, my brothers were rapping. My cousin Perk actually took initiative to just start rapping on tapes and doing karaoke machines and dubbing everything around the house that he could possibly find, VHS tapes. I mean, you name it, he recorded on it. And it was good to see that there was some kind of talent to be bred throughout the family, on not just my mother's side, but my father's side of the family. Okay. And so after following and watching all of his musical advances and all of his lifestyle as much as I had the choice of either go to street life or go to music life. And his question there was, you have two books in front of you. You have the book of streets and you have the book of knowledge. You're an educated gentleman. We all know that you're smart. We all know that you have the capability to do the same things that we all do, but we would prefer you to be one that puts his head in a book and not in the streets, if you know what I mean. So I kind of stuck with that. By the time I turned 17, moved back from Arizona, did my first track with my brothers, because they heard that I was actually more serious about doing my music more than just making it a therapy session. Okay. And then took off from there. Kind of just been doing shows here and there, like open mics, do a collaboration, one or two here and there. And then around 20 years old, I decided to take the full step for my brothers and all the rest of my family to say, I need to do this on my own. It was good to do it with them. It was nice to see them develop and help the family brand develop, help our relationships develop, but it's not something that most people can agree to, that it's not gonna last. eventually you got to take that leap of faith and you got to do it alone. So I took that leap of faith and here I am today.
Okay, that's what's up. So, with hip hop being the path that you took instead of the street way, which by the way, we're blessed that you took that music way instead of the street way.
Appreciate it.
If hip hop could open a door for you, once you're done, or even while you're still climbing, what is it that you would do that hip hop opened the door for you?
I would personally, I'd like to see hip hop become more of an educational base in our educational system, and with that, just find a way to solidify through the same as Tupac and all of our legends, Biggie, Dr. Dre's formulations for his beats and some of the structures for how he would go out and market, even those things being taught in college courses and sometimes high school courses as either extracurricular activities or as a necessary part of the criteria, so that way those people in those positions understand that it's not just a style of music, it's a style of people. It's something that doesn't just branch across one generalized bracket, being that we are African Americans and this is what we've come from. It also allows the rest of the world to tell their story in that platform and understand that the history does not block them out, although it does glorify and parade us even more because we were the ones to struggle hard.
That's deep.
So I just want to kind of make it to where if a kid goes, we see now that there's kids younger and younger getting into hip hop.
Right.
I want to still give those kids a chance to be able to fight for their education. So through hip hop, do your music, make your videos, get your music out there in the streets, do your Instagrams, your Snapchats. But I want you to understand that at the end of that, the possibility of you making your money can turn into a scholarship that can send you back for your plan B. Instead of you worrying about if music doesn't work, what will I do? You can go to a school that actually majors and puts you in the background of philosophy behind hip hop and behind music compositions. Just things to change the world up, something to add a little bit of flavor to the world and make a mark for what we as musicians and those in the hands of this market and this industry, we can have a way to kind of give back to them just on a smaller scale.
Okay, well, seeing how we brought up children of the day getting into the business, hip hop. What state do you think hip hop is in right now dealing with the younger generation?
Honestly, a lot of people would they call it controversy, but hip hop is alive and well. I mean, from South Bronx all the way over to the West Coast. A lot of people didn't see the transition happening back in the 70s and in the 80s. And then it's spreading from the West Coast and across those territories. They didn't expect it to touch as much as it did in the South. But then, of course, Andre and Big Boy with the Source Awards presentation and them making it very much so named that the South got something to say. It was a lot more of a platform to stand on for more communities than just that one that they thought was going to be the only and all. That was the only style available, and that's all that there ever be. So we got to see the degradations and the integrations over the years of how hip-hop has grown and developed, and still to this day I can say it's alive and well. It's just finding a new way to breathe.
Okay. Well, we're getting real wisdom here from the man Charlie Muscle. But for right now, let's go ahead and take this break. We're going to get to this new video. Okay, so jumping right back into it. Who does Charlie Muscle listen to as far as music?
As far as music is concerned, honest to God's truth, a lot of people may not know it, but I was tuned a lot more with the Southern hip hop artists. So right now, my biggest swing in hip hop has been for Big Crit.
Okay, yeah.
Underdog.
Crit is dope.
Underdog. I always fight, it seems like, for underdog, but those are usually the ones that have the most fight in them. And from Def Jam all the way, just going from OTRV, doing it independently, just his projects have consistently and gradually grown. There's not really one failed track or one failed project that he has put out. And honestly, I think the compositions and what he's got is untouched. He's got the potential to be the next Kendrick Lamar or the next Tech Nine. Hell, in most opinions, the next Tupac from people's perceptions if they actually get a chance to listen to his message and what he got to say. But it's so relevant based off of what we endure on a normal and everyday basis, to where he can spread across every spectrum without even trying. From the last project I listened to his, that honestly wasn't something that you couldn't stop playing replay value, which was honestly my favorite. It's Better This Way. Dude has tracks from Party Jumps all the way to I'm Just Walking Because My Car Won't Start. So I'm pretty much knowing that his spectrum is all the way spread, but his musical conscience is always alive. And that's kind of that. It just breeds that motivation for me as an artist to kind of keep listening to him as a fan.
Okay. So coming out of the hip hop,
Okay.
because I have yet to meet an artist that just listen to all hip hop all the time.
Right.
So when you're not listening to hip hop, when you've over hip hopped, what does Charlie Muscle listen to then?
Chet Baker. A lot of people not familiar with Chet Baker, but Chet Baker's a really good inspirational jazz artist. And so I kind of push myself outside of the spectrum and normal boundaries of, let's lay on them lines of hip hop. What kind of started it? Some people even go outside. I'll do 70s classic rock, 60s classic rock. I'll go into the hippie jams. I bounce around that spectrum, but for me, my most compromising moments outside of hip hop and the time I need to unwind and just breathe, be a human again, is usually under some Chet Baker or a jazz playlist.
Okay. Well, it's out of the normal, but we're going to go ahead and get into this little jazz touch. Be right back. What up? Welcome back. As you can see, we don't do everything to the norm here. We put a little bit of everything into On the Real videos because real music, really, you just can't put it in a bottle. But for right now, let's talk about real music. So I understand you got a new project that's going to be dropping here soon.
Yes, I do.
Go ahead and tell the people about this project.
I've been bleeding, sweating, and crying over the last 2 years behind projects. I finally got a chance to drop Primal, and to give a little background about that project, it's more so the prequel to this next one. Primal was more so just to describe me at my most prime. And it's not necessarily to say the best quality of music that I've had, but it's more so to exemplify that this is the rawest Charlie Muscle that you will get. Recorded every song out of my backpack. Did all of the engineering myself. Any vocals that you may have heard as far as singing or harmonizing, I did those myself. Like, I really tried to put and piece this together, of course, outside of any collaborations, which appreciative to those who helped, but I really tried to put this together with the basis and knowledge and understanding that this is the last terrible or mediocre quality project that I want to put out for myself. However, I don't want the quality to be degraded, my apologies. I don't want it to be degraded by its value just based off the fact of the quality of the music and its audibility. I want it to be just as crisp in its listening factor for when you hear that engineering and when you hear that harmony. I want it to be just as crisp with my delivery. I want you to feel as if when I listen to this album, I hear no imperfections, just the same as I wouldn't hear imperfections in the verse. And so I pushed that album out, and I did the best that I could. It came out, and I got a great response for it. So the next project that I got lined up is called The Adventures of Bougie Hauser. A lot of people just think that...
Wait. How'd you get that name?
Well, of course, being as old as I am, Doogie Howser is just one of them dudes. Shout out to Neil Patrick Harris, but Bougie Hauser was like looking at the state of hip-hop, looking at the state of our community and how things itself kind of just go from, I want to make it, I want to make a name, I want to do something to change our lives. It went from that to, I just want to check. I just want to make some money. So I want to show people what it would look like if, in fact, that came from me. You know, like, if I did the opposite of the spectrum, hearing that I could have had to go on the route of the streets versus the route of me being in the notebooks, I was down the middle of both. So what a lot of people don't know is that one side I never talk about. And maybe it's time for me to open that up. So I've included some music on that nature. Okay. I've included some more portions of like things as far as my songs Funeral and Flashbacks. I talk a lot and heavy dealing with my family and how I feel neglected or pushed back. This one kind of just opens up as an all-out fuck y'all. You know, excuse my language, but that is,
excuse your language, man.
That is kind of the situation of where I wanted to come. I wanted to be a little more realistic, a little more graphic, a little more jaded. I wanted you to realize that when you listen to this, you either going to look at it as a masterpiece from something that was similar to a doctor's handwork, or you're going to look at me as if I went Hollywood and I'm bougie. One way or another, you're going to slap this album. That's just the way it's got to be.
Okay. Now, I know how great you are. Some cats out there in the world know how great you are.
Right.
But we have a real legend that has noticed how great you are and finna take you on a tour with them. Yeah. Can we get a little bit more information about this tour with, the legend Tech Nine?
Yeah. So what happened last year, I ended up linking up with Strange Music, got a couple local shows. Did one here in Sacramento and one in Riverside. Did very well with those. We went back and did another one in October, and Optimistic had jumped onto that show with us through Ace of Spades. Ace of Spades had put him on directly. And so when it came around to this new tour coming out now, thinking to myself, like, maybe I could contact him, jump on a tour, see if I could. And I did everything I possibly could. You know, I wanted to contact every market, every route and avenue I could, and unfortunately it came back at me as, sorry, there's nothing we could do. So my next best plan was to call Optimistic and say, hey, what can we do? You know, I'm not exactly sure what it is that we can land outside of what we've already done, but I think that we need to make a move and we need to make it now. So myself, Optimistic, and another local artist by the name of Siren had decided to just go ahead and team up, hit a couple states. We're doing a 7-state, I believe, 2-week tour starting April 5th.
Okay.
When we come back, and this is the first time I actually get to speak about the subject, but when we get to come back, we're coming home April 19th to Stevie Stone, Mad Child, One Ton, and ourselves merging our tours at the Blue Lane. And then 4 days to follow, we've got the pleasure to be able to open for Tech Nine here at home. So being that that's something that his whole team is known for, they usually come prepared for everything. They don't need that extra opener. They don't need that extra 10-minute set field. It was just a blessing to see that we could get put in there. And so what they got to see from us in October with the merger of an artist that was put on directly from Strange and an artist that they put on both from Sacramento, we just decided to alleviate that middleman for them and just say, hey, we want to do it together. And so I took that initiative and kind of ran with it a little bit with this tour, just to let the people know it was a lot more of an emphasis on mergers and bringing the unity back to the community. So there's a lot of these shows that we're doing on the tour that are 50-50 door splits. A lot of these shows that are on the tour might just be open mics. A lot of these shows might just be outside the parking lot and us busking, and you might just get a spontaneous moment where you see me on Facebook and I'll post a location or a time or something. You never know. It's just us trying to survive, but also reach unity and spread our music. And it was the very first opportunity outside of Strange Music, you know, trying to reach out to me and do something as a serious artist that I felt like was the best thing to jump on, and so I did.
Okay, that's dope. That's real dope. So let's go forward on some fun shit.
Okay.
So, is there an artist, past, present, possibly future, that when you hear the song, it's like you get a good feeling, like it's a party feeling, like nothing's going wrong. If something has gone wrong, you hear this song, it brightens your day.
Mm-hmm.
Hip hop, R&B, who would that be?
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube.
Ice
Okay.
Cube, yeah, that's the second other side of the spectrum. But Ice Cube has not dropped his ball in over 20 years. And a lot of people will find that he's underrated with his music. They'll like him because of his marketability, his qualityness, you know, his quality and likeness as far as him being an actor, or the more commercial songs that he's put out that they're familiar with. My favorite, No Vaseline. You know what I mean? You gotta put somebody to work. You gotta put them to work, and that's the way to do it, man. Hit 'Em Up was one of the classics, but it still can't touch No Vaseline. Like, these dudes are still following, I'm sure, when they listen to that song. Even if they're good friends, they gotta sit there and have some kind of spite when they hear that song. Like, man, you did that to me.
Vaseline, No Vaseline cut deep.
Yes, sir. Like,
and he ran through NWA. Like, I mean, when that came out, that was shots fired, bombs dropped, missiles locked.
yes,
Like,
sir.
there was no way they could ever. I'm surprised they survived it personally.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm still shocked to this day that they're still trying to build the relationships the way that they was, because, man, on the old rules, they would still be fighting.
I think we'd have to put on some gloves up in the backyard
Yeah.
and see who the best man would be.
Something.
It would like, you hurt me
Yeah.
to my core.
Indeed.
So I'm gonna need some blood. Man.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna need some blood.
Absolutely.
All right, now we're gonna get into this No Vaseline. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Man, that's still one of the coldest songs ever put out to shut you down. That would work today. That would work today.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's anybody who could even survive that today.
Nah.
But hey, man, we really appreciate you coming.
Anytime, bro.
Man, I'm so glad you came. It's an honor to have you here. I can't wait for these 2 new albums.
Yes, sir.
I better get my ticket for the tour.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're one of the greatest, and I am so proud to have you on my show.
Thank you.
To have this in-depth conversation about where you come from, Mom going to school. Shout out again and congratulations to Mom.
Yes, sir. You did it.
You know, and please come back
Anytime.
Anytime you want to, my door is open, the studio is yours, we got you.
I appreciate
Right
it.
now, it's another great episode. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate the love that the people are showing on the real videos. We got bigger and better things coming. Maybe we'll be doing a little inside concert filming. I don't know. We're going to work that out. But this has been another episode of On the Real Videos. I'm sitting here with a real legend, just Charlie Muscle. Y'all better recognize I'm sitting next to greatness. Here's your chance to get to know him. You see him on the street? Holla at this man. Real humble dude. But I want to also thank you for tuning in for another episode of On the Real Videos. We'll be back next week with another great artist for you. Until then, just know that Sacramento, we supporting you.